Hello everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Lavish Life of Lex. You guys, before I get into what I'm going to talk about today, we're going to give me some flowers while I am still here. Baby girl officially hit 100 subscribers. Yes, you guys, yay. Like, oh my god, when I seen that I officially hit my first 100 subscribers, I was so hyped because like I was pushing for that. I'm like, I'm going to get to my 100 subscribers within a couple months. I was not playing. I started hustling, bustling for them subscribers, okay? What I started doing was I recently had one of my TikTok videos hit 10K. It's not viral, but I got a lot of views on one of my videos specifically. It was this trend that was going on TikTok, and everybody was able to make their accounts grow, and my account grew a lot. And I had been trying for a long time, so yeah, my account grew finally. We in the thousands as far as my TikTok followers finally. But when that trend went on, I got a lot of followers. And one day I just so happened to be scrolling through different pages that I started following and were following me back, and I seen different people had YouTube channels. So I decided to reach out to them. Hey, I have a YouTube channel, I see that you have one as well, let's support each other. Because you know, most of the time I watch YouTube vlogs and stuff like that more than I even watch TV. So I reached out to some people, they responded back, they followed me, I followed them back. Well, subscribed. I subscribed to them, they subscribed to me back, and here we are, 100 subscribers, okay? So thank you guys to everyone that subscribed to my channel. I appreciate you guys so much, and trust me, as my vlogs go on, I'm gonna get so much better at this. I'm still like kind of in the beginning phases, so just bear with me until we get to the professional level, because it's going to get there eventually. But anywho, today the topic, well, first and foremost, today is going to be a story time. I haven't did one of these in a little while, but remember a few posts back I did my very worst job part 1, and I promised you guys a part 2. So today we're going to do part 2 on my worst job. So what can I start? When I say this job was horrible, I mean it was literally the ghettoest job ever. Like, I thought the security job was bad, but it's like I went from bad to worse in a sense. They both were horrible jobs, but yeah, literally this job was a mess. But let's get into the story time. So pretty much, you know, I had been trying to get out of the security job. I had been here for some years and I had been dying to get out of there. So when I say, you guys, I learned the lesson of being intentional with your prayers. I prayed and prayed and prayed for a new job because I wanted to get out of the security job, but I wasn't being intentional with my prayers. So I kept asking God, can you send me another job? But God, can you let me get hired at this job? But I wasn't praying for a job that I actually really liked, a job where the money was right, but also it was good for my mental being. I did not ask for those things. So like literally God gave me what I wanted. I wanted another job, he gave me another job, but it was like a horrible job. So I learned that lesson then to be more intentional. But pretty much with this job from day one, it was a mess. And I knew it, and I honestly did not want to take this job, but listening to other people, I took it anyway, and I regretted it from day one. So literally with that job, it's a delivery service, a major delivery service. I can't say the name because I'm not trying to get sued, but it was a major delivery service. And pretty much, Lord, it's a lot just thinking about it. It like got my chest tight a little bit because that's how bad it was. But pretty much I went in there, well, I applied. I had been applying with them for years and never got any callbacks or anything like that. But this specific time when I applied, when I say that process was rolling, rather quickly, quicker than it ever has. Like literally I had tried with that job for years and they never called me back. So I got in, I had to do a test, I passed the test. After that, like a few weeks later, they hit me back to do an orientation. So before, well, not orientation, but like a kind of like a meeting with a bunch of people to tell you specifically about working for their company. So I went there to do that, and when I went in there to do like the meeting, the big meeting they were doing with everybody they was explaining different things about the job. They was telling us about how, you know, it's a labor type of job. You know, you're going to be on your feet. You're going to be picking up heavy things sometimes. How sometimes it could be long hours. How sometimes you could work between 5 to 6 days a week. It depends on what tour and what's going on around the time. How it can get really busy, specifically around the holidays. And like literally everything in my mind told me to walk out that door. But I'm the type of person, I do not always listen to my intuition. So I just stayed, and I just was like, you know what, this is a good opportunity. I kept trying to tell myself this is a good opportunity, and I'll finally be able to get off that security job. So I stayed. But everything in my body was telling me, it was like a red flag was going off, like alert, alert, don't take the job, abort mission. Everything in my body told me not to take the job. But yeah, I didn't listen. I did not listen to myself. So like literally, I went home. I spoke to my mom about it. I spoke to my dad about it, but she was super negative about it. And I spoke to different family members, and it was like I had a lot of uncertainty if I wanted to take a job or not. And not so much my other family members, but specifically, I remember getting into an argument with my dad because it was like he almost called me stupid in a sense because I didn't really want to take the job. And it's like, he didn't call me stupid, but basically that's what he called me. He was like, that's a good opportunity and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, but it's like I just knew in my spirit it wasn't for me. But between that and some of my other family members, they was like, you know, that's a career type of job. You can build there and you can grow within that company and this, that, and the third. So me listening to them and not going with my better judgment, I took the job anyway. I ended up getting an interview, and pretty much once you get the interview, you pretty much got the job. So I did the interview. They told me I had the job. We went over the schedule that I wanted and everything. So after you get the job, you had to do a 2-day orientation. So I get the orientation, and I learned that the schedule that I spoke to them about, that's not the schedule they want to give me. So I'm looking like, but we discussed the schedule. I told them either morning or overnight. They gave me their midday schedule, and to me, the midday schedule is the worst schedule to be on. You don't have no life on that schedule. Like literally, if you had to work 3 to 11 or 4 to 12, you figure when you get off, you're going to be up when you get home. So by the time you go to sleep and you wake up, it's almost time to get ready to go to work. So it's like you don't really have no life on their schedule. And for granted, I was already going to be working about 6 days a week. So it was like I only had 1 day off, and this schedule sucks. So I'm not going to really be able to do anything or see anybody. That alone was just kind of like a killer for me. I'm a person, I love to go out. I love to hang with my family and my friends, and I just like to have my freedom. And that was the one thing with the security job. I had my freedom. I hated that job, but I was Monday through Friday, 7 to 3. Whereas though with this job, I was working 6 days a week, and I wouldn't be getting off till 11 o'clock, and God forbid they made me stay. I would be there longer. So that was a problem. So yeah, so I knew that. So of course I'm sitting there, my face all balled up, I'm irritated, like I knew I shouldn't have took this job, but I had already quit my previous job, so it just was like there was no turning back. So it was day 2 of the orientation. So it was this lady that came in there. She was one of the managers. She was the manager for the morning shift, and she came in there just very mean and nasty. Like, and I hate to say this, and I don't want to be the one to say it, but I'm gonna be honest. It's just something about when black people get that type of authority or their power, they don't know how to act. Like literally every job that I've had where the management was the same race as me, it was always a problem. And I hate to say stuff like this because I just feel like, you know, I love my people. I love my people. I'm black. I love my people. I love myself. But it's like, I notice every time I have a job where I'm working with people predominantly my race, it's always some type of issue. They're always very nasty. They take that position and let it get to their head, and they start talking to people out the side of their neck. Yeah. And I know I'm not the only one that think this way. I done had discussions with people, and a lot of people agree with that. But anywho, pretty much she was just very nasty, and it just was like pretty much saying, oh, if you do this you're getting fired, if you do that you're getting fired. Oh, don't think you're going to get any days off. And it's just like, wait, what? Like, you did not have to come off like that, or that wasn't necessary. It's like she just had to prove a point that she was just this badass or something. Like, I don't know. I don't know what her problem was, but yeah, she was extremely rude. But After this, so that left a bad taste in my mouth, and that triggered my anxiety because I'm just like, oh my god, I already as is did not want to take the job, but I went against my better judgment and I took it anyway. And it's like, here we go with the nonsense. It's like I instantly got that sense that this job is going to be worse than that last one. So literally, she took us around for a tour of the building, and when I say, yo, this lady is crazy. So we walking around, we're doing a tour of the building, and she is talking to us, telling us what areas is for what. So we get into the part of the building where the work is being done, the distribution center, their area. We get to that part, she stops dead in her tracks from her talking to us and automatically starts screaming at this guy. She seen him off of his machine. She goes, why are you off your machine? And da-da-da, just yelling to the top of her lungs. I even heard this lady curse at him. Get your ass back on the machine. I'm just sitting here with my mouth like open, like, oh my god, like, is this really happening right now? Like, are you serious? Like, how are you talking to somebody like this? This is a grown man. Like, what? So that right off the bat, I was ready to just walk out the door. That was enough for me, and I knew from then I'm not going to be at this job long. Either I'm gonna end up, because I assumed that she was gonna be my manager, I'm gonna either end up hitting the curse this lady out, or I'm gonna just walk off this floor. I just knew in my heart when I seen that, I'm like, okay, so this is the dynamic with this job, and I was not feeling it. So yeah, that was crazy. So after that happened, she did the tour. It was basically time for us to leave it today, so we left. Like, literally, I walked out that door, I had a whole anxiety attack, because it's like I felt in my mind like I made a horrible mistake. And it was like I couldn't jump up and just go back to the other job because I had already resigned. So I just was like, oh my god, here we go again. I thought this was going to be a good move for me. Like, so I freaked out. I was in my head. Anybody that has anxiety know we're overthinkers. So I was in my head. I panicked. I had a little panic attack. Eventually I was talking to somebody. I was able to calm down. They was like, just give it a chance. You didn't really give it a chance yet. You know, you might not have to really deal with this lady like this. I'm like, okay, cool. So literally the very next day was my first day, my first official day, which my first couple days there wasn't terrible. So they got there, they took us to the section that we were going to be working in. One of the girls that I'm cool with to this day, she ended up, me and her interviewed together. We was at the orientation, we was at a couple things together, so I was familiar with her. So, you know, I was glad to see me and her would be working in the same section. So I'm like, okay, I have a familiar face with me, so it wasn't so bad. Everything was cool them first couple days. I'm not gonna hold you. They showed us what we were gonna do. The people in my section was pretty nice. Even the people that had been there, the OGs of the building, they had been there forever. They were pretty cool. So it was fine. They were just showing us what to do. Everything was cool. The only thing I disliked there earlier on was the time that I was getting off. Like, at the time I did not have a car, so trying to get around on public transportation, that job was far from where I lived. So trying to get around on public transportation that time of the night was like scary, because I was not used to being on no bus or no train that time of night. So I ended up one of my co-workers ended up finding out lived not far from me, so we ended up just carpooling back home every night. I just gave him a little bit of extra, I gave him a little extra money towards gas, and we just worked that out, because I was like, I can't be catching no bus from here that time of the night. People are crazy. So that worked itself out. So I'm gonna tell you guys when it first went left. So you guys, the first time it officially went left, so it was just one specific day. I think it might have been a Friday. I'm thinking, oh, it's about to be time to get up out of here. We going home. I had plans. I had to just go home and just change real quick. I was supposed to go meet up with somebody. I got the reality check on my life. They called all, I can't say the name of the position that I did. It's going to be a dead giveaway to the company. But all blank, 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 blank have to stay, or mandated to stay for 4 hours. Like, 4 hours? Oh my god, I was so pissed. So but I sucked it up. Was like, okay, cool. I knew we were going to have to eventually do overtime, because they told us they're doing orientation. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So at first, of course, I'm the type of person, however I'm feeling, it comes across on my face. So of course I had my face all bowed up, my lips all tooted up, had a whole attitude, but I got over it eventually. So of course at that point we would be helping out the overnight shift. So literally, okay, the tour that I was on, the shift that I was on, they were cool there. It wasn't really too bad. I did have one supervisor that was kind of a little bit of an ass, but outside of him, everybody else wasn't really too bad. Well, it was actually like a good 2 of them that was like kind of 2-3 supervisors on my tour that was like but okay, so they weren't terrible. I didn't really have to deal with them or interact with them too much. But that overnight shift, when I say all, like, oh my god, every supervisor, every manager on that tour was so rude. It just, and their attitudes, and it was like, at that point we were still fairly new. We wasn't even 2 weeks in yet, and they were just very rude and nasty. Like the way they came off, the way they talked to people, it just, the energy, it just was like, okay, it just screamed out miserable. So so we're on the tour, and literally they're telling each of us what we need to do, what areas we had to go to. So it was like, okay, fine. But it was like, while we were in those areas doing the work, it was like they kind of was rushing us to get done their work. And that's when I ended up realizing the reason why they make us stay for the overnight shift is because the overnight workers that are regulars, they don't do their job. They don't do their job. So hence, they make the people off of my tour that are new, they make us stay to help them out with the work that their workers won't do. And when I realized that, I just was like, oh yeah, no. We're not doing this. And you're not going to rush me to get no work done. So it was like different times when I had to help them out on the overnight shift, where I might have had some words with one of the supervisors, because it's like, you're not going to rush me to do some work, or because your workers don't want to do their job. Like, yeah, we're not going to do that. So like I said, they were kind of mean, they were kind of nasty on that shift, and I hated every time they made us work overtime. It just was like, I hated working on that overnight tour. So what ended up happening was, it was times just throughout their whole ordeal, like I said, I was dead dog tired. I'm working 6 days a week. I'm working anywhere between 8 to 12 hours a day, depending on the day. Specifically, they always would make us do overtime on a Friday. Sometimes they would be nice and let us get out of there a little early, but for the most part, we were staying until 3 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, which sucked. And sometimes, like maybe a day or two during the week, they might have called overtime, which I would be having my fingers crossed the whole time, like, please don't make us stay, please don't make us stay, because you never knew. Like, they would do it at the last minute sometimes. But yeah, so different times, like I said, I had different squirrels with the overnight management. And it just started to burn me out. It really, that job burnt me out. And then what the problem was with the people that was on my shift, a lot of them had been permanent regular employees, so they had been there longer, meaning they pretty much got away with murder. Like literally probably would go a whole shift not doing the work, and they would not get penalized, and we were expected to pick up the slack. And it's like, once I started to realize that, I just lost it in my mind. And then the fact, it was the summertime at that point, so I couldn't spend time with my friends, my families. I was missing all the cookouts, all the birthday parties. I was missing everything, and it's like I just missed having a life. So I kind of working there, I fell into a bit of a depression. And then it's just like the hostility in there. Like, I'm gonna say within that building, it was just so much bullying that I witnessed. It was so much just disrespect, so many miserable people. It's just like, I hated it. I hated the environment. It was just very, very toxic, and I hated it, and it just messed with my mental. So after some time of me working there, I started applying to other jobs, and I'm applying. Even when I'm on my lunch break, I was applying to other jobs. So what ended up happening, I was literally at this job for 5 months. So I dealt with that BS for literally 5 months, and it just was a lot. And oh, like, let me not mention, they slave you the way they do, but let you need a day off, they want to give you a hard way to go. And it's like, how can you give somebody a hard way to go? You're making me stay for overtime on a regular basis, you're making me do all these things, but you don't want to give me a day off when I need one. Like, I do have a life outside of here. So like I said, that just was not considerate. And it just kind of gave off very much modern day slavery in that job. Like, literally. Like, so it was like, in a sense, I went from bad to worse. I hated the security job because it was very toxic in there as well. But at the same time, I had my freedom. Whereas over this job, I didn't have my freedom. I was always working. And it was like my checks, oh my God, my checks was husky checks. Like, my biggest check that I brought home from there was, I think, might have been close to $2,000. All in one check. But it's like, all that was overtime. So it just was crazy, because it's just like, you know, money is not everything. And that's what I learned from working at that job. I loved my checks, but I was exhausted. My body was like falling apart, literally. My fingers were hurting that job. How do a job make your fingers hurt? Like, my whole body was always sore. It just was not for me, like, honestly. So, and so many times I contemplated just quitting the job, but then there's like, I'm the type of person, I'm not going to quit a job without having something else lined up. I never been that person. Like I said, I literally have had 12 jobs, but all my jobs, I've had a job lined up to go to another job. I never just up and quit a job without having a job at all. That's not who I am. So, like I said, I was applying for jobs so I could be able to make my exit. So, and this is how God works, right? So, what ended up happening was, I literally got an interview with one of the biggest companies in Philly. I was on my way there for my interview. It was early in the morning. It was like 7 something in the morning. I was on my way there for my interview. Boom, I get in a car accident. I was in an Uber and a car rear-ended us. And when I say instantly, I went forward and my whole back, my neck, everything was hurting so bad. But I was like, I had to make the interview. So after the car accident and the insurance and everything was exchanged, I still went for my interview, but my energy wasn't really there because I just got in an accident. It startled me. So after that, I immediately went to the hospital. So I was in the hospital. They recommended me to do physical therapy because, of course, I had whiplash in my neck and I had some problems with my back as far as my ligaments. So what ended up happening was, I contacted a lawyer from the security building that I worked in that I was familiar with. I contacted their law firm. I spoke with them. They told me I needed to do physical therapy. So when I did my first official appointment with the physical therapist, they straight told me with the job that I was doing, they were, you need to do light duty. You can't do that job, all that heavy lifting, pushing, pulling, and your back is the way it was. I had a problem with my spine. They needed to realign my spine, and it was like I had whiplash and stuff like that. So I was really legitimately in pain, and I was not suitable for that job. So a few days later, I went in there with a note basically requesting for light duty per my physical therapist, and they instantly denied me. It was like the whole thing with them was like, well, you didn't get hurt on this job, so we're not obligated to accommodate you. And I'm looking like, wait, what do you mean? After all that back-breaking work I did, what do you mean? They could have easily gave me a light duty position if they really wanted to, but they didn't. So I'm not going to hold you. At the time, I was upset because I'm looking like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do as far as the money? But I also kind of was happy that I was going to have my freedom back for however long, because literally I had no freedom working at that job. I was always working, never had time to play. So I was out of work for months. I was out for 4 months. I was in physical therapy multiple times a week, and they kept sending me things in the mail. They had my physical therapist fill out trying to get me to come back to work, but it just was like, y'all are not trying to accommodate me. So what part of I cannot come back until my back is healed up, don't y'all understand? So in the meantime, in between time, while I was out of work, I was getting unemployment, which anybody that's gotten unemployment post the pandemic, no, unemployment is not nothing. Them checks is super light, but it just was like, at the time I didn't care because I was able to have my freedom. And that's when I learned I would rather take a peace of mind any day over making a large amount of money. A large amount of money is nothing if you don't have that peace of mind. So in the midst of me being out of work for a few months, I finally was hired at another company, and I was so happy because I was trying to do everything in my power not to have to go back to you know, the delivery service company that I worked for. I did not want to go back there. I'm like, no, but I finally got my dose of freedom. Like, I felt like I was in prison working there. I felt like it was a prison. That's what it reminded me of. But I finally got my freedom back. I finally am able to have a life like I once had prior. I'm not trying to go back to that job with that nasty energy and just the BS that come with working there. So I was able to start a new job, and I did not have to go back, and I was very, very happy. And it's like I said, moral of the story, because every story time that I'm going to tell you guys is always a lesson with every story. But moral to the story is, do what's, like, literally your gut, your body tells you whether something is good for you or not. You know, just physically, mentally, spiritually, your body will tell you. Go with your intuition. Don't ever let anybody tell you that what you're feeling in your heart and your mind and your gut is wrong. You have to go with your intuition at all times. All times. I'm sorry, you guys. You probably hear the dog barking. It's somebody's dog outside. Like, we got windows open. Anywho, yes, always go with that gut feeling. Your gut never lies. And then also, the other lesson is just money is not everything. It's not always about money. If you could be making all the money in the world and just be so unhappy. Look at all these celebrities. A lot of celebrities out here committing suicide, or they end up in mental facilities because they come to show money is not everything. It's not always about the amount of money you make. If you're not happy with what you're doing, you're not going to love it. You know, you have to love what you do. And at the time, I was not loving what I did, and I was not happy. So it was like I was getting all that money, but it didn't matter because I hated what I did. So yes, that's my story time of the toxic, crazy job. I wish I could tell you guys what company it was. If any of you guys ask me personally, I would tell you, don't take that job and run. Don't take it. You're not going to have a life. They're rude. I'll tell you guys what's up. But anyhow, thank you guys for tuning in. I should be coming back with another post very, very soon, probably within the next week or so. I'm gonna actually do an outdoor post for my next vlog. So yes, come back and tune in. Like I said, once again, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also follow my social media platforms. All of them will be listed below. Thank you guys, and see you next time.